Today, you have no idea that today you are going to meet the most incredible person. And today is my episode of season 2, 46. We're almost at a year for season 2. I can't believe it. If you don't know me, I'm Dr. Gina Anderson, and I'm the host of the I Love Learning podcast. I'm the CEO of Luma Brighter Learning that helps industries in the supply chain save lives through our award-winning connected learning platform. If you want to learn more about Luma, go to lumabrighterlearning.com. And I would love if you subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking subscribe on the YouTube channel. So thank you so much for joining us. Please let us know where you're tuning in from around the world in the chat. And if you're ready, type "let's go" in the comments, because this week our guest is Cara Truitt, and she brings over 20 years of experience as an entrepreneur, a business owner, and a community leader in Charlotte, North Carolina. She's the founder and executive producer of TEDx Sugar Creek Women, which, by the way, I went to their event and it was incredible. Charlotte chapter host of Mic Drop Club and the education director of NABO Charlotte. She's passionate about amplifying women voices and ideas. And guess what? She was named one of the top 50 women to know in North Carolina last year. She has a dynamic presence and skill at facilitating meaningful conversations. And in fact, I hired her as our keynote speaker at the Luma Learning Lab this year. So let me bring her on and let her introduce herself. Cara, welcome to my podcast today.
Oh my gosh, Gina, no pressure. My goodness, that introduction.
No
pressure.
Tell everybody who you are and what you're passionate about.
Oh, wow. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. I am honored to be here. I am so excited. I've been counting the days to get to have this conversation with you. And yes, first and foremost, I'm a mom. I'm a mompreneur. I've got 2 little kids here in Fort Mill, South Carolina, just outside of Charlotte. And I've been here, as you said, for over 20 years. And I have that serial entrepreneur bug that I got from my parents, and, hopefully pass that on to my kids. I love learning. I love just being curious about different types of people in business and in the community. And, I love nature. I love being, outside, and really I'm all about connection. I'm all about community. And as many ways as I can create spaces for people to come as they are and leave as more of who they are and just connect. That's what I'm all about. So it takes many forms in my life. It takes many forms, but
yeah, I remember the first time I met you online, in person, and I could feel your love and energy that you give, and you're a giver, and I really appreciate that. And I started my podcast because I was, interviewing an industry that you really know a lot about, right? Because you were involved in a trucking company. And I was connecting to drivers, and, we know this based on what we know about connection, but a lot of people were feeling lonely, a lot of negativity. And so from your perspective, how, if somebody came to you or one of your drivers or someone in your community that they were feeling a little bit disconnected and they've kind of lost their passion, because you have so many passions, right? What would you recommend to them to reconnect with their passion?
Yeah, I would say, I wasn't always, this passionate. I've certainly had many times in my life where I didn't feel as lit up as I do now about all of these creative pursuits and learning. I have had some very dark times where I didn't feel like life was even worth living. I've experienced a lot of loss and a lot of grief in my life. And what really pulled me out of that and brought me back into what I feel like is our natural state of wanting to learn and be alive was community. So I would say, don't isolate yourself. I isolated myself for a very long time, and I got what I call very busy with the work of not feeling, and just you can look really busy from the outside, and even be talking to people, but not really connecting with people, and really kind of isolating yourself on the inside. So I would say, say yes to opportunities for connection. Say yes to when somebody says, let's just go have a coffee and chat. Say yes to slowing down long enough to feel what's really going on, and to give yourself the opportunity to be in community. And I think that's why I'm so passionate about what you do, Gina, because you're not just teaching learning and safety, which is so important, but you're doing it in a community-based environment. You're really creating opportunities for your clients and your community to come together and say, like, you're not alone. I think, as you mentioned, I owned a trucking company for the last actually 3 years, and just am transitioning out of that business this month. My husband and I had a logistics company here in Charlotte. And I think it's an industry that really gets neglected, and thinking that people aren't interested in community. It's like out here, they need it more than anyone. Some of the people that I've met in this industry, they're just amazing. These drivers and these contractors, they're out here working so hard every single day, and they're often doing it alone. They're out on the road alone, or they're in a factory alone. And so, it's so important for them and all of us to really seek out opportunities for connection and to find ways to build community. And that's how you can really bring yourself back to just finding what you're passionate about, what you're excited about.
Yeah, I love that. So, Cara, is this something that you read, or how did you discover? Because I know you've had, and you've shared with me in the past, like these moments in your life where, you didn't even know if you could move forward, so much pain and so much grief. So what happened? Was it like a book you read? Was it something, or did you just like something inspire inside of you?
No, it was the university of life, as they say. It was my own experience. So in 2011, I went through a really like a dark period. I filed for divorce on a Monday. I filed for bankruptcy on Wednesday, and my sister died on Friday in 1 week. And when those kind of things happen, like, you just start to question everything in life. And part of that, though, what was kind of interesting to me, fast forward a couple of years later, is because of that experience, it was one of the best things that happened in terms of my relationship. I'm remarried now, have a wonderful family, as I mentioned. But at the time, I was leaving an abusive marriage. And when that happened, I also left a lot of other people in the process, because it was a whole community that I kind of left in order to sort of move on with my life. And I lost a lot of friends. I lost a lot of people. And fast forward, I found that even losing my sister and losing a lot of my possessions and just my former life, in a way, I found that what I missed almost more than anything was, second to losing my sister, was really the community. And so it took me a few years before I landed myself in a community again. And that was in a yoga studio here in Charlotte. And it was the first time in a long time that I actually got quiet and allowed myself to feel. I thought I had healed, and then I sat there and listened to this, group of people surrounding me with the sound of Om, and it was like it cracked open my heart, and all of the things that I had closed off started to really heal. And I didn't know a lot at that point, but I knew that something in me told me to stay in that community, just be there and allow the love to surround me. And I did that. And that really, really drew me into this passion around building community and realizing the importance of having spaces for people to come together and to share and to connect.
That was beautiful. I love that, because I think that sometimes people tend to isolate themselves, right? They stay internal, and you have to go out to experience some of that, even if it's just breathing, right? Breathing internal and going out. And so I really love that. Alyssa's watching. I love this. She says, it's amazing how some of the best things can come from after your darkest time. There are rainbows after storms, and we see a lot of
rainbows really without the rain, can you?
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that, Alyssa.
I love it so much. So last week we had on our podcast Doug Thompson. Cara, do you know Doug? I think you might. Maybe you do. I don't know. If you don't,
I don't know that we've had like direct We're going to have a conversation after this, though.
We are. He wanted to ask you this. He wanted to ask, what is a story that you've heard lately over coffee that made you smile and think that it's magic of owning your voice? Because he knew that you were a TEDx, administrator, director, and also that, you're just a beautiful community giver. So he wanted to ask that question to you. And he's a storyteller. He's a storyteller. So
I love this question. So, okay. He's correct. I do have a passion for helping women, especially, to find their voice. And that, again, is because once upon a time, I didn't have that ability. It almost baffles me now when I think back to, 20 years ago, who I was to now, that I actually get to do this work and help other women find their voice. It's really very powerful work. And I'm very grateful for the opportunity to do it. Because other people did that for me, once upon a time. And there was a moment about a couple of weeks ago. We were actually starting to plan for our next TEDx event happening spring 2026. And I took my team of volunteers to see the space. Top secret, I'll have to tell you.
Oh, okay.
When the announcement comes out. But I took a break. I went to, it was like, go grab a coffee or something, came back in, and there they were, the three of them sitting there, convincing one of the volunteers who had volunteered for us last year to apply to give a TEDx talk. And this was someone that was like, I'm not going to give it. I'm just here to volunteer. Like, this is not, I'm really just here to support. And then, so we took, and, she went and stood on the stage and in the empty room, and just had a vision of like, okay, I'm going to apply. I'm going to use my voice and share it. And that's the power of community, and how it can help you to actually use your voice, and how it can help you to find, again, that thing that you're passionate about. And, later they sent me not one idea, like 4 or 5 ideas. And I was like, are you kidding me right now? You have all these ideas inside of you that need to come out. Like,
yes,
one TEDx talk, you have like 5 TEDx talks in you. And so it cracked open, again, kind of that wall that had been built around, like, I don't know if my voice is worth sharing, And that's the power of, that's why I love TEDx. That's why I love, doing corporate workshops, helping women gain confidence in speaking in the workplace. And that's sort of, it's funny. People are like, Cara, you went from trucking to like, you speak about connection. I'm like, well, I was speaking about connection the whole time.
Right.
Everybody needs connection. Everybody needs spaces where they feel valued, because everybody is important and everyone's voice matters.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so true, right? It's like supporting each other to thrive, and supporting each other to unleash the love that's inside of each of us to make a difference in our communities. So thank you for that. Next week I have an incredible woman on my show. I don't know if you even know Lori either, but she is a TEDx speaker, and also she talks about ancient samurai wisdom, and I have met with her, and she is so incredible. What do you think we should ask Lori next week?
Okay, I love this. And now I've found Lori on LinkedIn, and I cannot wait to have a conversation with her. I love conversations around ancient wisdom. First of all, I had an opportunity to actually study for a year with the Paco tribe out of Peru.
Wow.
And they're sharing all this ancient wisdom over Zoom. It was so cool. I'll have to tell you about it sometime.
Yeah.
But I love how all of, I really am interested in how we can get back to utilizing the ancient wisdom of working and living our life within the seasons of nature, because of all the technology and everything we have, we've gotten so far away from that. So I would love to know, are there any samurai strategy tips for the season of fall?
Wow. I love that. I can't wait to
my
hear.
favorite season. My daughter's name is Autumn, and it's my favorite season. And I love, doing different practices and things that we can do to bring the power of nature and the power of the seasons into our work, into our business, into, our lives. So I want to know what the samurai have to say about this.
Oh, I love that. That seems like another article just waiting to be written, the power of the fall. What do you think, Cara, about winning? I started my season 2 is all about winning. And, you would think it's like, is winning awards, what is winning? And so I wanted to interview people this year for the whole year to really understand what are different people's perspective on winning. How would Cara Truitt answer what is winning? I love this.
What is winning? To me, winning is having the courage to have self-trust. I think that it's, we're living in a time where there's so many people, so much media, social media, people all around us telling us who to be, how to be, how we should show up, what our business needs to look like, all these things. And I think it takes a lot of courage to actually tune inward and listen to your inner wisdom and trust that your voice is as trustworthy as anybody else's, and that maybe more so, and that, you have the answers inside of you. Most of the time we know intuition is a very powerful tool that we have to use. And I think it takes the courage to really listen to that. And that to me is anytime that I make a decision based off of, cultivating that inner wisdom, taking good advice from people, but also really trusting myself to know what the next best step is. That to me is winning.
I love that. You are so beautiful. You're such a beautiful human inside and out, Cara. I appreciate you coming on. If somebody wants to learn more about your work and what you do, or find out more about TEDx Sugar Creek, where can they learn more? And then leave us today with some beautiful, lasting advice.
Okay. So my website is caratruitt.com. And you can find me there. You can find me on LinkedIn and Instagram at Cara Truitt. And then on TEDx, it's TEDxSugarCreekWomen.com. And you can find all about that. There's opportunities for sponsorship and volunteering and just tuning in to hear all the amazing talks from people like you, Gina. You're a TEDx speaker too. And your talk was incredible, by the way. I was very lucky to be in the audience that day in Raleigh. But yes, come and find me anywhere. I love it.
I love it. Leave anyone that's listening today, whether it's a driver alone on the road or somebody, sitting at their computer today, what lasting advice would you give to them about learning and striving towards your passion?
I would say that, learning is living. So never stop learning, first of all, and tuning into this podcast is a great way to continue to do that. But I would say just find ways to cultivate connection in your life, connecting with yourself, connecting with nature, connecting with community. We are living in a disconnection epidemic, but in order to get out of that, we have to really be willing to start with self-connection. And when we can connect with ourselves, it can help us connect with others. And that is some of the most powerful work that we'll do in our life. And so I would say just keep connecting and, finding ways to cultivate that intentionally. And that will have a ripple effect on other people that you have no idea. So
I love that. Thank you so much for coming on here today. I'm so proud of all the work you do. It's so great to have you. For those of you that want to join us next Thursday. We'll be here. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you so much.